It's Friday evening. Hello and welcome to The Nine.
Tonight, 4 people sentenced for trafficking women from Slovakia to Glasgow.
Hi, I'm Laura Miller.
I'm John Beattie. Welcome to the programme. For the next hour, we'll bring you all the day's news.
And Amy and David are here with all your weekend sport and entertainment.
Thanks very much, Laura. It's been a great night for Scotland's women who've continued.
Hollywood.
Now, these 4 people made money from inflicting terrible suffering on several women. Today, they were sent to prison for a total of 36 years for their crimes. The gang trafficked women from Slovakia to Glasgow and forced their victims into prostitution and sham marriages.
The buyers were mainly men from Pakistan. They wanted to marry the women for their EU citizenship so they could live and work in Europe. It took a 5-year-long international police operation to stop the trafficking and bring the perpetrators to justice. One of the women was sold for £10,000 outside a shop in Glasgow's city centre. As the victim of this sort of crime, we'll completely preserve her anonymity. But The Nine's Conor Gillis has spoken to her, and here's his report.
Govan Hill, vulnerable women are enduring.
Yeah, I mean, some really horrific stories there. But just how big is human trafficking here in Scotland?
Well, cases have been steadily on the rise over the last couple of years, but labour exploitation seems to be the big issue in Scotland. Many of us will.
Brexit and independence have dominated, but the NHS remains close to the heart of voters. The promise from each party, it's safest with us.
Well, Davy is here now. Just explain what this proposed SNP bill is. What's Nicola Sturgeon worried about on the NHS?
Yeah, the NHS is devolved. It's run by the Scottish Government, but trade deals are run by the UK, and the regulation of drug pricing is run by the UK Government too. There was a University of Liverpool confusion about what their deal means when it comes to checks between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. And if they're a bit confused about how it works, then us as voters are probably going to be quite confused too.
Well,
interesting.
Indeed. Yes, and there is a long way to go, isn't there? Thank you. We'll see you soon, David. And if you plan to vote 4 weeks on Thursday, but you haven't registered yet, you can find out how by checking our guide on the BBC News website or on the BBC News app.
And we'll be returning to the election a little later in the programme.
It's Friday night, and this is The Nine.
Stay with us. Here's what's coming up before 10.
At BBC Scot 9.
Can tell Nick wants to do the sport, but we've got Amy.
Yes.
It's been a big week, hasn't it, in terms of football? What's
really
happening?
has.
We've had so much when it comes to sports news this week, and it's been a great night. Very happy to say this for Scotland's women. And I know he's got a smile on his face in the Euro 2020.
To reach them. Now, 30 years ago this weekend, the Berlin Wall came down and changed the face of Europe. The soldiers, the barbed wire and the guard dogs, the symbols of division and fear, quickly became things of the past.
Tonight we wanted to reflect on what it was like to be a young German at that time, someone who'd only known a divided homeland. Well, Annie Poos grew up in what was West Germany and travelled to the East in 1990 after the wall fell, before German reunification. Thank you so much for coming in.
Hello.
Hi.
Take us back to being a young girl, young woman in West Germany, and what you thought of East Germany, because you were fascinated by East Germany.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, see, I was, what is S6 here, yeah, so just before finishing school and everything. And at the same time, Eastern Germany was a fact that you had 2 different states. And then, you saw on TV, because obviously we didn't have social media, how this all changed. And I had actually signed up for the final school trip to the east of Germany, which was a really unusual thing. I'd chosen it over Spain and France, which was like the boring option to go to. And then the wall came down. I must admit, I did think for a moment, oh no, now everyone is going. But it was amazing, because we experienced then in France, which was like the boring option to go to. And then the wall came down. I must admit, I did think for a moment, oh no, now everyone is going. But it was amazing, because we experienced then this country in transition. Yeah, it's still two different countries, but it was open, and we saw the wall. We saw the wall open, and I even brought you a little piece of wall.
Oh wow! We didn't know you were doing this.
We picked that from the wall, and so you can still see a bit of the graffiti there, which was quite special at the time. And it's one of those things that moved with me from Germany to Scotland.
Yeah. I mean, obviously then the wall was all that you had ever known.
Yeah.
Were you aware of the sort of the politics behind it, and the sort of the suspicion and the fear that on both sides?
Oh yeah, you were. And even then, physically travelling over still was with this fear slightly, or this dodgy feeling. You still had some form.
What was it? Just slipped my mind there.
We'll move on. It was Ken Clarke. Yeah. Siobhan, what about the Liberal Democrats? I mean, it's all about Jill Swinson wanting to be Prime Minister. It's about mumping about not getting on the debates. It's not about the issues, is it?
I think that Jill Swinson's talked a lot about the issues, and the big issue is Brexit. I think it's absolutely appalling that the Lib Dems are not going to be
who gave Martin Scorsese the $140 million to make this film have said to the cinemas, well, no, you can only we want to be on streaming within about 2.5 weeks, which is what is happening. So a lot of the big cinemas have said no to it.
Let it go.
I know.
You've just been desperate to sound that, John, haven't you?
Yes, let's talk about the other big release. And look,
look at this. Oh, wow. Christmas is coming. Festive Fridays. The Frozen 2 premiere was in Hollywood last night. All the big stars, or voices, should we say, were there. So, of course, Idina Menzel returns as Elsa, Kristen Bell as Anna, and Anna spoke to the BBC on the red carpet, and she told us how she's feeling about Frozen 2.
I think I'm the only one who doesn't feel the pressure. Mainly because I am like Anna, I'm an eternal optimist, and I'm also logical. I'm a firm believer that if you bake a cake on Monday,
start but dry with good sunny spells, and temperature wise it will still feel on the cold side. So all in all, not a bad weekend at all. Back to you.
Good.
Not bad. Thanks, Judith. Now, a notorious bridge in North Carolina has been dubbed the can opener after causing damage to nearly 100 trucks. Take a look at this and see if you can guess why.
You'll be glad to hear engineers have raised the level of the bridge and installed safety warnings to prevent further collisions.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's been hurt by that, thankfully, but long overdue by the looks of it.
And that's all from Laura and me for tonight. Nick and Fiona will be here tomorrow at 7 with the news and a review on the week in 7 days.
Yeah, lots to look back on,
indeed.
Lots to talk about. And they will see you then. But in the meantime, from me, Laura Miller.
And me, John Beattie.
That was The 9.
Good night. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Good night.